Can you hear me? Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am, you are audible.
Yes,
I
ma'am.
am. Great. Hello, everyone.
Hello, ma'am. Hello, ma'am.
Hello,
ma'am.
So it's 10 in the morning in Bahrain. So it's good morning from me and good afternoon to all of you.
Good afternoon.
Afternoon,
Afternoon, ma'am.
How's everyone doing?
Ma'am, good.
Ma'am, good.
You know, it's really nice to speak to you online. One, because we don't have to spend on any petrol, any time to reach you out. And secondly, because you get to see these colorful backgrounds at the back. Some have got a sky blue backdrop. Some have green, some have white. It's amazing. And few of them are not very, very happy to keep their video alive. Okay, now Purvi is back. I meant her. So what are you comfortable in hearing? In English or in Hindi, or a mix of English and Hindi, like Bollywood?
Ma'am, in English.
Ma'am, in
English. Ma'am, in English. Ma'am, in English. Ma'am, in English.
Great. So we'll wait for, hi Nidhi, how are you doing? Good to see you.
Good to see you, ma'am, too. Actually, let other students also join, then we can start the meeting, ma'am.
Yeah, surely.
Yeah.
So let's chat with these kids
Okay.
until the other students
Yeah,
join in.
ma'am, can I give your introduction first?
Yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, you want to wait for other students to join in?
Yeah, till then I can give the introduction, but we can do that.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Yes, of course.
So dear all, a very warm and hearty good afternoon. We all have gathered in this webinar for yet another counseling session under our Big Clap mentorship program. I'm extremely overwhelmed to get this opportunity to address you all, and specifically our eminent and eloquent guest speaker, Mrs. Juhi Sharma, popularly known as RJ Just Juhi, Voice of Bahrain. She currently is playing a prominent role as a programming head of Radio Mirchi Bahrain, indeed a very renowned name. It has almost been 2 decades when she initiated her successful career. She has been an active participant of instrumental part of media in Bahrain, and first milestone of her journey was the launch of first radio channel in Bahrain in the year 2006. She also has been running an English weekly, Bahrain This Week, for last 9 years. Along with it, she started the very first Bollywood dance studio in Bahrain, in which she taught expats, locals performing at high-profile events, celebrity gatherings, and Bahraini weddings. Adding to her accomplishments, she also played a major role in supporting corporate social responsibilities like Amnesty Call, spreading the labor market authority, laws to 500,000 expat population in Bahrain. She also has been working closely for social causes, charitable events, volunteering for praise, conducting musical concerts, planning marketing strategies for media houses and corporate firms. She has been fortunate enough to be a judge in school annual events and conducting talent hunts too. Let us welcome such a vivacious and prominent personality once again. Thank you. That's it, ma'am. Over to you now. And let me tell you, ma'am, the
Thank you so much, Nidhi.
Yes, the session is for 30 minutes, ma'am.
All right.
Yeah.
Great. So first, I want to say that all that Nidhi said, I actually couldn't relate to it. I thought she's talking about someone else. So I'm very ordinary, someone who's been struggling, someone who's been achieving whatever is possible in life. And I'm fortunate enough, I would say, that I got the opportunities. So talking about, myself, or talking about the motivation I received, or if it can, a percentage of it also can affect your lives, that will be the motive achieved this morning. So let me start with the name given by my parents is Sushma. I was Sushma Sharma, and after marriage, Sushma Athilet, but one of those lucky humans who had the opportunity to rename themselves. So I did get this because I got into the radio profession, And, I just thought that when I was getting into the profession, that if someone has to call a RJ in the morning or afternoon show and say, hi, RJ Sushma, it wouldn't sound very savvy and swaggy. And that's the reason I came up with the name Juhi. And I carried my maiden name. And that's how I'm known as RJ Juhi. So people have the opportunity and the choice of calling me any of these names. But first of all, let me thank you for inviting me to speak to your students this morning. To be honest, I love interacting with the Gen X that these kids are and to the millennials. Also, because I completely believe that I and my generation should have spent this kind of childhood, or when you had all this exposure. You have social media. If you want to know about something, you can Google it out. You have search engines. It's so easy to get to know anything, and you have all the support from your parents, from your teachers. You have mentors now. But at one time when we were growing up, all this was a little difficult to achieve. But however, there's something that we are learning from you, and that for surely is you kids exactly know in your age right now. I think you all are about 9 to 10 years old, if I'm not wrong. Are they in that age group?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
at the age of 9 and 10, okay, wonderful.
10 years old.
You kids actually know that, what are human rights, what's to be done for stopping the climate change, how to work towards environment conservation, and many, many more things, or talking about animal rights. So we, at your age, only knew one thing. My mom is in a good mood, I'll get this to eat today. My dad's in a good mood, I'll get to go out today. That's all our achievements were at that age. Or my teacher was very happy, she gave me a star today, and that ended there. That's something that we are learning from you. But there's something that you need to learn from our generation. And that for sure is we had a lot of patience and we knew how to accept defeat. So that's something which is lacking in your generation. You don't want to accept defeat because all of you want to be achiever. You want to reach out the top, which is amazing. Everybody should reach out the top. But why run in the same field? Why everybody wants to receive 100% marks only? And why not, search yourself inside, introspect. What are you really capable of? Maybe you can become a good pilot. You can become a good sports manager. You can become a good vet. You can actually become, now the kind of exposure you have when it comes to looking at professional career, there are plenty of them. I'm introduced to a new career path on daily basis. It amazes me, but it also makes me happy that the world is no more for the students who are first ranking in the class. It's also for the kids who are backbenchers. It's also for the kids who are school dropouts, college dropouts. It's just about the personality you carry, which is most important. So I'll tell you what actually comes when I talk about, what's really important in life. So for me, the number one is, the most important is to be happy in life. Don't just keep thinking, if I achieve that, I'll be happy. Change your state of mind. Try and be happy in the situation you are. Thank and have the gratitude for what you have. Now, if you look at me, if I lose 10 kilos, I'll be super happy. But do you know, in last 4 years, I've lost 42 kilos. And if I'm still not happy, then I'm not happy with my own achievements. I need to be happy to make the world happy and a better place. By the way, I've been invited to motivate you, but I'm of the opinion that if you're ready for any motivation with open arms, you can just look around yourself and you will find enough of motivation. I'll tell you how. So my house help, she's a Muslim by religion. And over Ramadan period, the entire 30 days, she's fasting and she's serving us food. Not only me and my husband, but she also serves and takes care of my pet dog, who's 8 years old now. His name is Romeo. He's a golden retriever. You might see him around in a while. He's roaming here. So, she serves us, she feeds us with no frown on her face. I think that motivates me. My dog, even if I 20 times enter the house, he receives me with the same wagging tail, the same love, the same affection. That motivates me. On a Friday morning, when I have to wake up, because Fridays are holidays in Bahrain, it's like a Sunday of Bahrain. and I have to take my dog for a walk. And I see these sweepers and cleaners who are cleaning the roads at 7 in the morning, who have no weekends. They motivate me. So every single person who was working during the pandemic and trying to bring up, and a lot of you kids as well have done so much work, just by letting people know where's oxygen cylinders are available, what can you do, feeding out the animals who are left out or abandoned, or feeding people who have been in need of food at that time. I think everybody has done an amazing work. So when you look back at the pandemic, a lot of people are complaining that we have gone through such a tough time. But if you seriously look at it uh, and think about it, it's actually a kind of wake-up call for a human, for all of us to actually look at it and see we have all woken up to things which we were aware of, but it was somewhere deep in our heart and we weren't really conscious about it. So it has been a blessing in disguise. We did have a lot of issues. You're not able to go to school, you're not able to meet your friends, you're not able to meet your teachers. But for us, if you see, I found it as a blessing because I'm able to work from home. I'm able to work at my own timings. So there were good and bad which was happening. But motivation was amply available all over the world. You would read stories and all. So talking about motivation, I have this program which I do on Radio Mirchi in Bahrain, which is called Vitamin P. Now, you know that vitamin C is required for our body. The same way vitamin P for positivity is required for our mental stability. And that's the reason I run this program. It runs 4 times during the day over the lifetime. And we talk about how someone's inspiring us big time. And currently I'm talking about 29 kids who have been given the Bal Puraskar Award by Indian Prime Minister, Mr. Narendra Modi, on the occasion of 73rd Indian Republic Day. And you would be amazed at one story which literally touched my heart. I don't know how many of you have thought about this cause, but you've been hearing in India a lot of stories about drowning during floods, losing everything during floods. There's this 6-year-old who has thought about a little cabin, a pota cabin, which floats during floods. And she takes out this, she's taken out something where you can escape with your pets. You have oxygen cylinder there. You have ample dry food there. You have things which are immediately required. So you can put in things like a passport, if you're carrying something like a gold or something which is really important in your life, and get into this little cabin which floats through the flood. Now, tell me honestly, how many of you have ever thought of a cause like this? All of us have been hearing. I have never thought about it. So when I heard the story about a kid coming up, back to a 6-year-old kid coming up with a flood cabin to help out the people, she probably has never gone through a flood. But it's just that she's been reading about it, she's been hearing it and watching it over the news, that she thought that this was one cause that I want to work at. So it can be anything. The most important thing is, of course, to be happy. The second most important thing is to be genuine and original. So what happens now? We see Badshah doing a rap, and then 1 million people in the world start copying him. And everybody is doing just that rap. Or now I know India doesn't have TikTok, it has Moj, but in Bahrain we still have TikTok. Someone making a TikTok and then billions of people following it and doing the same TikTok. What's original in that? So there's nothing original in that. Talking about my life, I'll take you back to the time that, I started my life. So I was born in a naval officer's family. I have 4 siblings, all boys at home, and brought up in a very ordinary atmosphere. But I was 13 years old when I lost my father in an accident. And that's the time that we have this wake-up call that we need to be responsible for ourselves. So at the age of 13, I started realizing that, I don't have a lot of time like many of you kids, fortunate kids have, to sit back and, get the support from my parents, because my father was the only working member at that moment in the family. My mother, who was not literate, but a very strong personality, who brought all 5 of us up with a smile on her face all the time. And I thought that, if a woman who's not literate can do that, every woman can do that. So 3 cheers for all the girls in the world who are doing such amazing job. I got all the inspiration from my mother because I would see her working day in and day out and still remain happy, do things that are important in life. I'm sure you're seeing that inspiration in your house, either in your father, your brother, your sibling, your sister, brother, anybody. And you're getting motivated every day. So basically, motivation wouldn't come and fall in your lap. It's you who needs to look around and achieve and accept that motivation all over the world. So we all have an opinion. You agree with that, right? When we start looking at something, I'll give you an example. I have this cup. Can you see it? It's a Starbucks cup. I'm having my green tea in this. Someone had gifted me this. It's branded. If you watch me drinking this green tea in this, you'll have an opinion. Some will have an opinion saying, wow, like she's using a branded mug. Some would have an opinion, oh, good Lord, she's showing off a Starbucks. Oh, some would have an opinion, is she drinking a coffee or is she drinking something else? So I have no control over your opinion, but some would even have an opinion that whatever she's doing, she's making sure that she's appearing as someone who can motivate someone. So it's completely up to you to put your thought properly. I'm sure you've heard a lot of motivational gurus and they keep telling how conscious you are about what you're eating, especially you kids in this generation. You don't eat pakoras, you don't eat samosas because you start thinking, this is not good for my weight, it's oily, it might be spicy, I might feel sleepy, I won't be able to get enough protein, things like those. In our age, all this exposure wasn't there, so we weren't thinking of this. So you need to get as conscious about the thought that you're putting in your mind. That's the most important. So when you look at something, are you thinking positive about it? So we see a news, we have billions of opinions, and you see over the news stations, it's become so repetitive now. Everybody is fighting, everybody's arguing with their own opinions. People have different things to say. What are you achieving by your own thought? You don't have to always speak up about your thoughts, but that's the thought which is going in your mind. You're thinking about a certain, for example, let's talk about, the political situation in the country or the freedom in the country at this moment. A lot of people have got lots of things. I'm not happy with the government. I am happy with the government. I don't like the development. Now the government is doing this because they want to achieve votes, and hundreds and millions of opinions. What is the most important? The opinion that you have, the thought that's in your mind, and nothing else is important. So don't let others' thoughts start running in your mind and start covering your thoughts. Have your own genuine thought. That's the most important. So talking about my achievements, why I was invited to motivate you, I'm sure your school and your mentor program wouldn't get someone who's not successful in their life. But if you really think of what really success is, I don't know how many of you know about Coffee Cafe Day. Raise your hand if you've heard about Coffee Cafe Day. The daily cafe day. Have you heard about this? So in our times, we didn't have Starbucks and Costa Coffee or Caribou. We had Coffee Cafe Day, and that was a big chain, which was run by an entrepreneur who came up with this entire thing, which was a big thing because we teenagers would go and meet our dates, our friends at the Coffee Cafe Day. And we would just buy a cup of coffee, we'll be charged like anything. Slowly, they started giving out dosas and sandwiches and croissants and everything. So a person, the entrepreneur, the owner of this Coffee Cafe Day was indeed known as another Tata or another, Ambani, because he ran some thousands of Cafe Day all over India. And everybody started believing that he's a successful entrepreneur making a lot of money. Just about less than a year back, we heard that he committed suicide. Now, I'm bringing this sad story in front of you because we might think that he's very successful, but success comes with a lot of baggage. You need to perform every day. And there might be people who are living on the roadside or on the footpaths who are not really successful, but they're happy. They're contented in life. I leave it to you guys, you kids, to actually decide what's more important. Yes, it's important to be successful, but on what cost? Is it important to be successful on the cost of your happiness, on the cost of your health, on the cost of losing out on your peace and your sanity? Or is it important to be ordinary, yes, achieve something, but at the same time be happy? I leave it completely to you. So that's about success. When you talk about my success, I think I've been successful and happy and contented, or you can say I've been very fortunate. I call myself a God's child because I got opportunities at every moment of my life. Why I'm successful is because I grabbed those opportunities with open arms. And I must tell you, with all the public that we have in India, forget about the world, about 7 billion of them, everybody receives the same opportunities in their life. It might be a little different, like some might receive opportunities of acting, some might receive opportunity of working in a good firm, some might receive, it can be different. But at the same time, everyone gets, it's just your two eyes and your heart which receives it well, absorbs it, takes the benefit of that opportunity and uses it. A lot of them you'll say, she got the opportunity, she never utilized it. Or he had this opportunity, but he never worked towards it. So everybody has 24 hours in their daily life, be it Bill Gates, Steve Jobs, Mr. Narendra Modi, Mr. Shah Rukh Khan, Mr. Amitabh Bachchan. They made it successful with those same 24 hours. And there's so many of them who couldn't make it successful with the same 24 hours. So instead of blaming our circumstances, our situation, we should be looking at ourselves. What can I do in this 24 hours, which is to be achieved? Now, I'm not saying stop reading your comic books, stop, playing games, stop playing. You're free to do anything that you want to do with your time. There's only one important thing that you need to keep in your mind, and that is whatever you're doing with complete attention. If you're playing a game with your attention, I'm talking to you with my complete attention. If you're listening to me with complete, so this multitasking kind of a concept has become very old and rusted. We don't like to do that. What if I'm talking to you and at the same time I'm saying, okay, kids, I'm sipping on my green tea. I'm multitasking. I'm also having my green tea and I'm talking. But my attention is distracted at that moment. You don't need to do that. So whatever you do, whatever you achieve, whatever talent, even if nobody around you has the belief, kids come up with different things. So I'll tell you my own daughter, who's a 27-year-old individual, and I have just one daughter. She has done her journalism from Manipal. So she was a very average student. She quite surprised us when she got 82% in her 12th grade. And we were all very happy because we weren't expecting her to achieve more than 60%, but she did. And she went on to do her journalism from Manipal University. She's been brought up in Bahrain. Of course, there are, the infrastructure in Bahrain is way better than what you receive in India. You're also in a very secured atmosphere in Bahrain. She was driving. She had her own car. She got everything very early in her life. But she gave up all that. She went back to the Indian university after she was born in Bahrain. So you know that when you're born and brought up at a place, you start, adapting to that atmosphere. She went back. She struggled for 3 years. It wasn't easy in Manipal because those days Manipal didn't have a KFC and Pizza Hut, and that was a big question at that time. Oh my God, there's no coffee shop here. There's no Pizza Hut. There's no. So that was the issue at that moment. But she did pass out, and she came back to Bahrain. She started working for an English newspaper that when I was introduced, you might have heard that I'm running an English weekly called Bahrain This Week. But 6 months later, she said, this is not something that I want to do. Of course, me and my husband were disheartened because we thought she's done her, she's worked so hard. She doesn't want to. And she said, I want to become a dancer, a choreographer, and I'm very good at it. Because we have only one child, we gave her that opportunity and we said, okay, we are there to support you. She started her career. I had by the time opened the Bollywood dance studio. She started training there. One fine day, she decided she'll go to Los Angeles to get herself trained at the Millennium Dance Complex. Now, we don't know anything about dance or choreography. So these were the inputs which were given by her. And she went for 3 months to USA. She came back. Now she's in Mumbai and she's working with World Dance Studio. I don't know whether she would have been a better journalist I surely know that she's doing a great job as a dancer and choreographer. She teaches street funk. But I know one thing for sure. As a parent, I'm very happy for her because she is happy. That's the first motive. Whatever you want to do, think about it, whether you can give your 100% to it. Second, whether you can be happy doing this. The minute you feel this is not going to achieve happiness for me, you should be dropping it out of your list. So talking about the qualities, in my opinion, in the order that I follow, it's important to do good education, to educate yourself. But what's the most important is, of course, to be happy, to have a good personality, because your personality can take you to places. You might do your MBBS, MD, and you might just turn up saying, I don't want to do this medical field thing. I don't want to be a doctor. How many you have seen, how many students who have been engineers and then they became RJ? I have a list of radio jockeys who are actually engineers. They didn't want to do engineering. They didn't want to follow their, the profession that they've studied for. How many doctors who turned up and started making samosas during COVID? How many of them who came back from USA and started helping out farmers and villages and doing? So if you go follow this Instagram page, it's called The Better India. You'll actually get to read stories which are hugely inspiring, and they tell you about how people are coming up with different ideas even after they have followed a profession. So for me, I just did my graduation. Whatever opportunities I got, I worked in a hotel. Then I got an opportunity to work as an executive secretary. I did that. And then suddenly I got this opportunity of, can you be a radio jockey? Of course, I accepted it, and I'm thankful that I accepted it, and I became a radio jockey. I came in Bahrain, but started, enjoying speaking to people, or becoming somebody who can give out my motivational, feedback to people. So personality, your right attitude, you being helpful, and of course, education. And exactly in this order, what I follow. This is a little story about me, and I think everybody has that 24 hours to work towards. Now that my time is almost coming to an end, no, I still have 3 minutes, Nidhi.
Yeah,
so
actually, ma'am, students have some questions to ask. Can you please answer?
Okay, yeah, sure. Yeah. Go ahead. If you have a question, you can go ahead and ask me.
Students, you can raise your hand and ask one by one.
Can I tell?
Yeah, you go ahead. Your question.
Who's it? Who wants to ask?
I'm Yugansh Thama. Ma'am, my name is Yugansh Thama. I am for class 5th.
What is
my question is? My question is what challenges you face for BIA?
For being a RJ, right? Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
So I had challenges all my life. I think I'm someone who never got anything very easy on platter. So I did have challenges like, working on myself. So when I started as a radio jockey, social media and the media exposure wasn't great. I'm talking about almost 2 decades back. So I knew that I do have the talent of speaking or engaging with people, but every day I had to keep learning. So I used to listen to different radio jockeys who were very popular at that time, try and, receiving what they're saying, not really copying, but putting it in the style that I can do. I did receive a lot of feedback that I don't have a particular voice of a radio jockey. So radio jockeys have a very particular, very sweet voice. And I surely didn't have that voice. So I surely had to work on my content. So if you're a good content giver, you can actually become a good radio jockey, is what I understood. So every time I would speak to people on the radio, I would find it a blessing. Now, all of us have problems at home, with friends, with colleagues and everybody. But when I go in front of a microphone, I switch off that entire world, and then I start speaking to the microphone. And I think this is my last day on the radio. Every day that I'm performing, I feel from inside, this is my last day. I will not have the opportunity once again. So the biggest challenge I had is my voice. A lot of people thought that my voice is not suitable. But like you would have heard, Mr. Amitabh Bachchan was rejected from a radio station because his voice wasn't great, and we all are in love with his voice. So
Ma'am, can
I
we
had to go
have
for
some
that.
other questions too? Can we have
Yeah,
other
please.
questions? Yeah. Rinalika, you can
Sure.
ask. What's your
Good
question?
afternoon, ma'am.
Good afternoon.
And my question for you is that what are the fun elements of your profession? Thank
The
you.
first thing that when I became radio jockey, I loved the attention I would get. Even if I'm in a restaurant, people would recognize me with my voice, and I would love it. And people will come and ask for autographs. And I was already thinking I've become a celebrity, which of course shaded down in a while. The best thing is that I'm not into a 9 to 5 job or a desk job. So I have a new role to play every day. We just completed a Mirchi Junior RJ with schools in Bahrain. And it was so amazing to see kids, interacting with them, to see their talent. I get to meet celebrities and stars. I get to go and watch the movie as a premiere, or I get to, whatever is happening in Bahrain, we are a part of it because we are covering that event. And I think that's a big thing to, so you don't have a fixed thing. I have to go to the office. I have to sign these papers. I have to submit a report, nothing like that. So we have a new life every day.
One last question from, I think, Samiksha, you can ask.
Good afternoon, ma'am. My name is Samiksha Mishra and I'm from class 8. So my question is, why do you want to become RJ?
So I always knew that there was a party at at a friend's place, and I'm very talkative from the time I was born. I think I used to talk a lot, and I used to get a lot of um, my parents used to really scold me for that. Oh my God, how much is she talking? My husband still keeps telling me, how much are you talking when we meet any friend? But I took it as a positive thing, and I thought, maybe this is what I can do in my life. I didn't have an opportunity, but in 2013, when the radio started in Bahrain, because of my Hindi, I come from Delhi. So, because of my Hindi, I was approached and said, oh, you can speak good Hindi. And we have a lot of Malayalis in Bahrain, unlike North Indians. So the population is about 500,000 of expatriates in Bahrain. And from that, about 30% are Hindi speaking, mainly are Malayalam speaking. But of course, thanks to Bollywood, everybody understands Hindi now. When I was called, I didn't go through a formal training of being a radio jockey. So they said, can you speak Hindi? And the lady who was asking me was a Malayali, the owner's wife. And I spoke to her. I said, हाँ, मेरा नाम सुषमा है. मैं दिल्ली से हूँ. And she said, oh my God, you speak such fluent Hindi. And I was like, yeah, but that's my mother tongue. So yes, I do speak good Hindi. She said, okay, you come to the radio station tomorrow. And I started my life from there. So there was never a goal that I wanted to become a radio jockey. But when I went into that profession, I wanted to be the best one to be remembered forever.
Thank you, ma'am. So
we'd like to take Bhavesh's question as well, Nidhi.
Okay, fine.
Like
yeah, okay. Bhavesh, you can ask better.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, my question is, what are the advantages of being a radio jockey?
So like I said during my conversation with you, Bhavesh, it's completely up to you. I have a lot of radio jockey colleagues, fellows who keep complaining, every day we have to get up in the morning for the morning show. For me, I did morning show, which is usually 6 in the morning to 10 in the morning. And then I used to head the sales and marketing of the radio. So I had a lot of work throughout the day as well. But for me, I was very happy with that because it was a morning hour. You would get the maximum public on the roads. Everybody's rushing to office, school, and to their destination. So it was amazing that you had the maximum crowd. So I think that's completely very, very individual approach, whether you find it beneficial or no. You would say that, some people are in the best of the jobs, but they don't find that's to their optimum benefit. But there are some people who are not really doing anything great, but they're still happy with that. And they say, this is what I wanted. So for me, my benefits have been that, like I said, I'm known in Bahrain. I surely wanted, that people should know when I walk around, people would say that, oh, this is Juhi. Remember, she said this on the radio. Oh, this is Juhi who helped out that, stray who was. So that itself is getting that little achievement of being recognized by people or being able to use my contact to help out someone, to get through a visa or to get through out of a difficult situation. That's been my benefit, I think, using my name.
Okay, thank you so much, ma'am. I think now it's time to wind up the program. So I extend my gratitude to our speaker guest, RJ Juhi Sharma. Yeah, Bacha, now it's time. Actually, the meeting will get over, so I need to end it up. We can have another session.
Thank you, thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you, ma'am.
Keep that smile on.
Have a nice day.
Bye.
Bye, ma'am.
Bye, ma'am. Bye, ma'am. Have a nice day, ma'am.
Bye, ma'am.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Good afternoon. Have a good day ahead. Bye-bye.
Bye, ma'am.
Good afternoon.
Bye, ma'am. Good afternoon.
Bye, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Bye, ma'am.
Bye, ma'am.